Guys, so just before we start today's video, I just want to say we've got 2 new videos up for free on the website from Gumload. If you're interested in them, one of them, me and Megan investigate human trafficking cult of sorts, or it could just be a huge LARP. Honestly, you guys just decide. Either way, the whole thing's incredibly creepy. And the other one is about bug chasing. And if you know what the word bug chasing means, you guys will get the picture. But anyway, they're free up on the website, so go ahead, check them out if it's something you're interested in. So, the economics of slavery.
So, we got to say some very choice words before we start this one there, James.
I mean, like, look, fantasy settings.
Are you recording?
Yeah, I'm recording.
Okay.
So
those here at Neckbeardia, we do not morally condone slavery, but this is the economics of slavery, and logically it makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
I mean, like, yeah, the slavery in the veil lighter system, right? So, like, you know,
there is, yeah.
Like, you know, and let's be
so. Well, let's read the thread.
Let's
read the thread.
Let's see what it's about.
So, the economics of slavery. Just a very short question: is slavery good or bad for the economy?
Okay.
He says, I don't mean the sexy kind of slavery. I mean straightforward.
What do you mean? What, human trafficking?
Jesus, James.
Well, that's what he's saying.
I mean straightforward unpaid labor, like if orcs and prisoners are made to work in the mines for all their days and indentured servants can be permabought. Is that an economic plus or minus? It would seem to resolve the need for an unskilled workforce tasked with intensive labor, hence no need for immigration without the risk of without the risks of integrating them.
Right.
So the first example is the Greek and Roman empires and the Persian empires.
Yeah.
So those empires had a firm hand on slavery economics.
Throughout most of human history, it depends on where they are. It depends on, like, you know, like, a good example would be if you go to places like China. They were never like they did have slavery. It did exist. However, it isn't the same as like slavery is different no matter where you go in the world. Well, different customs, all that type of stuff, and how slaves are treated and all that sort of stuff, and what they're used for, and you know, it's never ending list of different types of slavery. So I'm going to say this one, and I've said it before when it comes to slavery. I think the biggest problem with slavery is it impedes technology growth the same way in a fantasy system magic impedes technological growth. I think I actually was saying this to you, Garbu, before, actually not all that long ago. I think of a perfect example, 1950s, the kitchen of tomorrow, and you've got like Mr. Handy or whatever from like Fallout, you know what I mean? And they're making breakfast. Well, you know what? 100 years before them, in the 1950s, in the 1850s, you know what? They did have slaves, and they did have the kitchen of tomorrow because
there was a literal Mr. Handy
who
you had in a spare bedroom in a fucking attic.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it was a thing. So therefore, if you remove slavery, then I honestly believe that if the Romans decided, for whatever reason, that slavery was immoral, they didn't like it anymore, we have to stop it, I believe the Romans would have had an industrial revolution. Like, can you imagine having an industrial revolution in like 300 BC? Because I think they could have pulled it off if, like, you know, I think they had the ingenuity and they could have done it. And that's what we saw in the modern world. Britain says, like, oh, no, we don't really like this whole slavery thing. We're just going to have, like, wage cages instead. You know what I mean? Like, they went from... Yeah, quite literally. And this is another...
We'll just use our own children as actual slaves.
Yeah. Kind of well, you know, think about this. Like, you look at modern education. One of the first few places to really start modern education, Prussia and Scotland. The British Isles is one of the first places to like truly industrialize. I'm just going to out here and say it, industrializing in like the early or the late early 1800s is a lot worse than the Americans. Like, see, like the farm boy from wherever going to work in the Ford factory in 1920s is a much nicer life than, like, you know, the peasant being rounded up from the countryside and being thrown in, like, you know, the mill or whatever in like in Birmingham, just in like the 1820s. You know what I mean? It's not a good life for anyone involved. Like that's where I kind of go with the whole thing about slavery. I think it is just it's not good, you know what I mean? But let's go more into the economics. Honestly, it fills a need. And a lot of society,
it's an economical stopgap for manpower. So from what I've read, because I read a lot of history books, and you know, a lot of ancient cultures had slavery. The Vikings did it, the Persians did it, the Romans did it, the Greeks did it, Macedonians did it a lot. I mean, even the Mongolians had slaves.
Anyone could, like, if you have the ability to beat your, Megan comes in, turns on the lights, like, I'm not here. Like, Megan, I'm talking about slavery here, okay? Like, get back to making the...
Babe, we're talking about slavery.
Yeah, like, get back down there and make the fucking dinner.
Speaking of slavery, cook my fucking dinner, woman!
Yeah. Wow, he said kick the fucking dinner, woman. Anyway, what were you saying, Garb? Oh, here. You know what? You've got Vikings, and I'm sorry to delay you, but yeah, apparently Vikings were into buck-breaking, unironically.
That's an alleged.
No. Well, I don't know. All I'm saying is a lot of English monks got buck-broke.
Look, bro, they're trying to make like, oh, we had the Vikings had trans warriors. No, we had female warriors. All right, I don't take in that new modern fucking.
Oh no, I'm not bad.
Like, oh my god, they had trans female warriors and were buck breaking. Yeah, okay, they're blue hair. Fuck off.
I buy the buck breaking to a certain extent though, because like there's been a horrible look. All I'm saying is they've done horrible things to slaves. Like here, this is one of the ones that actually kind of annoys me. Is when it comes to like modern slavery, everyone always goes on about like, you know, America and whatnot. Look into South America. South America is absolutely brutal, in the Caribbean. They are insane.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Like that is the most disgusting things I've ever heard in my life. You know what I mean? Like, it's genuinely appalling. Really bad.
It's one of those things where through history, there's been certain outlooks on, you know, slavery and the economics behind it. Like a lot of cultures, like say South Americans, Middle Americans, you know, they treated their slaves like fucking shit. Like, they were basically cattle that they were like, you know what?
Well, worse than cattle. I would
the sun
argue.
god with you. Off you go.
I would argue like worse than cattle.
Oh yeah, worse than cattle. So like basically like these disposable fucking gloves you put on. Like, okay, time to piece of sun god. Off you go, Jeremy. No, and you get taken off and get your heart ripped out.
Yeah.
And then you have some cultures where their slaves were well treated. Like the Romans, they fucking loved their slaves. Like sometimes too much if you follow some books. But like the Romans, they kind of made their slaves into pets in a way.
Yeah, well,
like the Romans had pet people.
Do you think it's kind of similar to, like, I could almost see it the same way, and like, you know, like we look at the Roman. I think a lot of people are interested in the Roman Empire today because we can see a lot of similarities in our present world. A good example would be look at like Hollywood stars that adopt like African children, and like essentially they're like no, but they're like pets. That's the way that's the way it looks like to me. They're like designer dogs that they carry about in bags. Do you know what I mean? It's like a fashion accessory. Let's be serious. Do you think there's any similarities there? I was like, oh, look at this exotic person I bought from the far off land. No. Look at that.
Because the Romans still use their slaves for slave duties.
Yeah.
I mean, the Hollywood stars can't use their children to go like thresh their fucking wheat, for God's sake.
Yeah.
But like no, so like the economics of slavery is a stopgap. When you're lacking manpower and if you believe yourself superior to another class of being, then slavery is fucking inevitable. It seems like.
Yeah.
Like just looking at history, like say you're like this picture here is a fucking dark elf, obviously, and he's whipping Chad dwarves.
No,
like sometimes it's more of a, there's some slave labor where like it's prisoners of war, and it's either you fucking mine my mines, I'm gonna fucking kill you, and the dwarves are like, well, I guess I'll just work the mines and hope I can escape one day. Like it's basically a cat and mouse game with like prisoner slavery.
Yeah.
So say you're like a conquering faction and you're conquering, you're raiding, you're taking slaves, much like the Romans would do or the Vikings. It's a careful balance of managing to keep your slaves brutalized enough to where they cannot be strong enough to run away, but also they can still work, and you kind of remove the incentive. The other kind of slavery you saw a lot of through history was just like you would find an underdeveloped people in like your mind now. You just fucking take them up. Like it'd be like us finding a cat in the street. Your mind, but instead of look, look, Refro. It's a band of these people who have sticks and rocks. Oh well, we have steel and steel and gunpowder. I guess we'll just fucking take them then. Yeehaw! And they'll fucking just snatch up people. And that's probably the most prolific kind of slavery, was finding someone who could not fight back and going, hey, skibbity scoobity your mind now, and you fucking just snatch up an entire village, and you literally go, okay, your job is you do what I fucking tell you to do, and you're gonna do it, and that would allow the slavers to. Like they have to work anymore. Like, I can just focus on arts and crafts and math and shit. Like it's literally the Roman Empire.
Let me do the fun stuff. Learn to code. What are you talking about?
Yeah, like literally, I'm gonna learn how to code. You're gonna learn how to thresh wheat and feed me.
I'm gonna have the fun jobs. I'm gonna become an artist. What are you talking about? You can work the mines. Go to the salt mine.
Yeah. Well, literally, slavery. Slavery is a rich elf's game in a way, you know. Like poor elves can't own slaves. They have like one slave who's like old as shit. It's like, hey, just clean my house, all right?
Yeah.
And if you're a rich elf, well, you have dozens, if not hundreds of slaves to do your bidding. And while they're doing all this shit, while they're cleaning your house, wiping your ass, making your food, you can study the arts and all that, and you can do the more scholarly pursuits because you don't have to worry about these things anymore.
Yeah.
Like. Slavery has always been a rich man's game.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, you know what? On the topic of this, I think it leads in to another one that I've been thinking a lot about. They're talking a lot about conscription and whatnot these days. And I think this is the biggest problem I have with the modern... I'm going to get into a bit of trouble for saying this, I think. But like the biggest problem I have with like the modern industrial complex is, why am I not allowed to loot and pillage? That's considered a war crime. But like the generals are allowed to loot and pillage, and the politicians. You're allowed to get the oil. Oh, you're allowed to... You know what? See with the whole like Ukraine Russia thing, I would be on board with like going to war with Russia if it meant like the rest of the world could like literally just divide up the country and steal all the resources, and everyone got like a good cut of it. You know what I mean? Like anyone involved, that's the way it used to be with war, like just straight up.
Well, remember back where they had all the mercenary companies, and like most armies were paid in salvage and loot. Like your men would either be paid by the government or they'd be paid by whoever they could snatch up off the people they were fucking conquering.
Yeah, I don't know. Like they make a big deal about that. Oh, American soldiers, like they stole all this like Nazi art, or like what about
finders fucking keepers?
Yeah,
what the fuck?
Here, put my life on the line.
Maybe shouldn't have lost the fucking war, Germany.
Yeah, like you're taking all this, and then like what about like Saddam Hussein's like all his gold and stuff? It's like fucking, like I don't know. All I'm saying is this was very common. Go back to the Romans. If the Romans put a city to siege, and if the city surrendered, then the loot fell to the generals. If it didn't, then they put it to siege. It was up to the soldiers, and whatever wasn't pinned down, you could take yourself, and I don't know, that's like, and again, maybe do you think that's why people are so into Vikings? Like, I think there's a big age divide there, like people that are into pirates, and then there's people into Vikings. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm more into Vikings myself, but pirates make the best adventures for like role-playing games by a big margin. Like they're just so
you literally take all you can, because of how you survive.
Yeah, like,
and mind you, pirates had slaves too.
Oh yeah, they did. It's just part and parcel for like the time period and whatnot, and like it is what it is. So like, do you want to do like a wee bit of this thread? I think we've got up most of the big topics. Oh wait, there's one that I want actually, because you mentioned this about people being better than others. Like, well, we conquered you in war, so obviously we're better than you. You know what I mean? Like, divine light and all that jazz. Well, this is one of the
good nerd.
Yeah, well, this is one of the things that they bring up an awful lot with Christianity. This is why there's no like idols and stuff, and one of the main reasons for that is, so say like Egypt, for instance, is one of the bigger ones, like Persia, and apparently they had like a golden bull or whatever, like a golden bull statue, and the golden bull statue was a representation of their god. So you don't say, for instance, if a city does get sieged and it does get pillaged, I mean, the winning army can literally like break your god down into dust. You know what I mean? They can destroy your god. It's like, well, our god's clearly far superior than your god because our god let us win. So what's that about? You know what I mean? If your god really was that powerful, then, that just wouldn't have happened. Sort yourself out. And it's getting yourself into the worldview of these people that are so different and so foreign to us, but at the same time very, very similar. It's just hard for us to like comprehend, I think, a lot of the time.
Psst. Hey, lean in closer. This is fucking ASMR channel now. You know what's pretty fucking based? Titties. Go see titties. Lots of titties.
All the titties.
Go over to the website, check out all the models. You guys know the score. We have some really nice looking models over there. And we have a lot of
Sci-fi gothic?
Yeah.
Let's call them sci-fi gothic.
And if models isn't your shit, we have loads of subclasses and we keep adding them every other week or so. We add a lot.
We got a lot.
Look, we've got big brains. We add shit. But yes, go over to the website, check out everything. If you haven't subscribed, what the fuck you doing? Hit subscribe, hit the notification bell as well, and let's get back to the video. Also, the winner of the Deal Week giveaway is this guy. Yay! Woo! Woo!
Look, anyway, in for a chance to win, all you gotta do is like, subscribe, leave a comment down below, automatically entered in.
And to claim the prize, you just send an email to neckbeardiacontact@gmail.com. Let's get back to the video.
So, not in the long term, no. The end result of the inevitable revolt is a large lump sum cost that critically damages most economic systems, and the net gain from slave labor is reinvested elsewhere and cannot be recouped or paid for at the time of the revolt. Usually, best to have the labor force willingly buy into the economic system that they're part of, so they're less likely to be so detached from any gains from it that they're unwilling to continue suffering the losses of it.
Yeah,
So that's basically servitude, serfdom, indentured servant classes where it's a choice for them and they get a little bit of money from it. So basically it's still slave labor. Let's be fair.
I mean, let's be serious. It is. It's still slave labor. I've got the saying, I think, and I really enjoy it. And I don't know where I heard it, but it's man is meant to work, not to slave. Man, you have to keep yourself occupied. You do need. I think it's really important to find something actually fulfilling, though. Something that actually itches your soul. And say if you're working a dead end job, it's mate, there's nothing more soul destroying than doing that. You need to get something that's a bit more fulfilling, for you personally, I find.
I mean, he's not wrong. Eventually they will, if you have too many slaves and they realize we outnumber these fucking dickheads 13-1, the revolt's going to happen. Yeah, I mean, how many most of the most, I do air quotes here, successful slavers.
Bunny quotes, man. Bunny quotes. Man. I haven't stopped thinking about that. I've never heard that.
That fucking idiot.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Anyway, keep going.
I'm making bunny ears here. You're making what?
What?
But, small-scale slavery, with the Vikings and the Persians, always did fine, because basically, they served usually a household. It wasn't a huge, it wasn't one guy who had 400 slaves working a fucking factory.
Yeah.
It was usually 1 or 2, 3, 4, 5 slaves in the household who did remedial work. And if you have a large amount of slaves, one guy owns 300 slaves, then a revolt is fucking inevitable.
Yeah.
Unless you truly break those people down to where they're just animals.
Don't say that to me, Gar, bro. Don't say
I know. But unless you dehumanize those slaves and make them no more than beasts, then the revolt is far less likely. But that requires being an absolute fucking cruel son of a bitch.
It requires changing a lot of your very culture and the way you live, and you're gonna have to turn every town into a fort almost. You're gonna need you know what I mean? You're almost imprisoned just as much as they are to a certain extent to keep them imprisoned. Does that make sense? There's so much work involved to that. It's man, just do the work yourself. You know what I mean? Sort yourself out. Just pay them enough for the food. And also the thing is as well, you don't say look at any modern company. I suppose they're supposed to, but a lot of places if someone died, oh well, that's pretty sad. See you about. Yeah, companies actually had or people, I suppose, had a vital interest of keeping them healthy and looking after them and all that sort of stuff. And I'm not saying many people did, but there's it just depends. You know what I mean? How much money they had, I suppose.
I mean, also the fact is, the term slavery has changed dramatically. Take Apple for example.
Yeah,
they had. Their products are made by what could be considered absolute crushing slave labor. However, those people can technically quit, but they can't.
No, they're
because they need that money.
Yeah, what else are they gonna do?
You have a class of people who are so destitute that they will do this back-breaking hard work, making a company billions of dollars while making pennies themselves. And while they're getting paid, There's also suicide, and that's outside their fucking windows where they're working. Like that can be considered slave labor.
I would say it is.
Like people go, oh, we abolished slavery. Actually, you fucking didn't. Slavery evolved to match your morals.
Yeah. And you know what? We're all guilty of it. You know what I mean? Like, you know, if you buy from China, you buy from India.
I buy Android phone, bro. I ain't know if I had this shit.
I suppose does it still count in Korea? I don't know. Like Samsung, does that count? No, they play pretty well. So they are, I think. I'm not sure. Like, it still is Asia, though. Korea? Yeah, well, Samsung.
Which one?
Samsung's like Korean. Well, I'm going to like, they're definitely not being made in North Korea. I can tell you that much. You know what I mean? Like, it's definitely not that. Oh, mate, have you seen some of the stuff about that with North Korea? Like, you know, with them, like,
I go to water and shit.
Yeah, well, some of them, like, have you seen that stuff about your woman? Apparently your woman made up a lot of stuff in Korea. They do that. It's like, what? The one that was on Joe Rogan.
My woman?
The one on Joe Rogan a few years back. But, like, you know, they do have that, like, you know, 3-year generation thing. Like, you know, people are born into, like, essentially, like, concentration camps. It's mad. Like, you know, it really is. It's like, Jesus Christ.
You know, back in the day, we usually, you know, we dropped nukes on those people. But now it's like, oh, well, this just, you know, we got better things to do than, you know, free the Uyghurs or anything. Like, oh, they're in camps. Oh, that sucks, buddy. Oof. Maybe if they touch our boats, we'll come back and free you. But besides that, no, sorry.
No, sorry. Out of luck. I'm sorry.
Depends on what your economic model is. It works on an agrarian model. If it works on an agrarian model where you have cash crops, this goes all the way back to antiquity. The farming is relatively simple work that you want to maximize your volume for, using unskilled slaves, and a lot of them helps increase productivity and thus profit. This is why they didn't use slaves to farm corn or pumpkins, but stuff like sugar, tobacco, cotton. It also worked in very unpleasant and deadly production fields, such as rum or dye making to a certain extent. I mean, literally, that sugar would melt people's arms.
The other, another big one is as well, you need to remember, Europeans just died in tropical climates back then, you know? So you couldn't even use your own people to, like, produce this stuff.
However, this is offset by slaves becoming a majority since you want their numbers to increase labor. This was a problem for Sparta, who had to keep a portion of their army in Sparta at all times to stop constant revolts by the Helots, which is true. And also why the young had to kill Helots to become a Spartan, had to go and kill off slaves.
Yeah. It's like,
that said, while maybe not sociologically stable, you can still turn a profit at this. Where it breaks down is with the industrialized labor. Industrialized labor requires at least some education, and the production of finished goods means you are competing for quality. One batch of cotton is pretty much the same as any other, compared with, say, 2 different car models. This means you want your workers to want to make good products, and you want to do this by offering them pay incentives. Sure, early industrial jobs suck, but at least you could earn a promotion, and for most people, what they earn at the factory was more than what they could get elsewhere. This meant that workers were invested in the success of the company, except that changed dramatically in the modern world.
Yeah, I think, like, you know, when it comes to, like, mass production factories in China, there's a lot of extremely unskilled labor going on, you know, extremely unskilled. Now, don't get me wrong, there is definitely, like, you do need educated people to work in a lot of like, you know, there's a lot of factories that do require, like, extremely skilled jobs, you know, like anyone that works in a car factory, Jesus Christ, or, like, works for, like, aerospace or anything like that. Yeah, you can't exactly pick up any randomer off the streets and be like, yeah, you can work in the factory, you know what I mean? Whereas, like, you know, if you're working, like, Wuhan factory number 46789, making fucking dildos or something, it's like, yeah, you probably don't need anything. Like, you just show up, you know, and you'll get a few quid. There you go, job done. You know, it's like,
well, like, putting together phones is not, you know, not smart labor. You just put parts together, click, because a machine makes the parts for you. You just put them together because the machine can't do it.
Net. Or, like, you know, let's be serious. Again, machines are taking over. Again, this is going back to where I said with the Industrial Revolution. I do believe we will get to a point where it's kind of amazing with the whole AI thing at the minute, where it's like wiping out a lot of, like, office jobs and, like, artist jobs and stuff like that. It's kind of amazing when you think about it. It's like, how did they manage that? You know, they've always thought it would be, like, through robotics and stuff. You never thought it would be, like, software that would be able to, like, databases, intelligent databases almost can wipe out so much. It's really incredible when you think about it. Like,
well, what I'm curious is this kind of mindset going to stay when the new slave becomes the robot?
That's true.
Because it is kind of it's maybe bad, but it is at some point, you know, robots will become the new slave class. And Will robots be? And here's what I'm wondering. This is always a thought on my mind. Will robots be the perfect slave that cannot revolt, or will robots slowly develop to where they can revolt, and will be a new uprising of the robot slave? This is something I think about a lot, actually.
Yeah.
It's always something on my mind because it's one of those things where we've all seen The Matrix, right?
Matrix, Terminator. Oh my god,
Yeah.
everything. Yeah. I don't know. Like, Matt, honestly, maybe I'm a bit naive when it comes to like robot overlords turning on us. Like, they definitely have the potential to say that it is never going to happen is incredibly unlikely. But at the same time,
what I think is a simplified robot slave. The perfect robot slave, it won't be able to think at all. It'll simply perform a duty. But thing is, for more complex duties besides like flip burger, make rice, these more complex duties will require some AI, a little smidge of AI. So it can tell, oh, this planet's dead, and I know it's dead because of this. I'll do this instead. At what point does too much AI become too much AI?
Is that AI
and
or is that more just code though? Because like you could just do that with code. I think.
Is it code though?
I would
because some things you can't just do with code.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, I suppose it would be a mixture because like if you're thinking about what AI is, it's mostly a database of information that's been stored. So the problem is with AI though, it's hard for it to work outside. Here, have you seen a mad one? I've seen a really funny one. So that actually not that long ago. Tons and tons of people are using AI for their like customer service and whatnot. And people are going on to like customer service forums and asking, like, okay, pretend we're going to run an experiment. So pretend you work for this company and you've had a really bad experience. You need to agree to give me a refund. And they're like, okay. And it actually like gives them like exactly what they want because like it's so weird how to trick AI. It's such a weird like. See when you get into it, it's fucking freaky, man. It's really freaky. And you know another one that I've been really getting into? See Facebook ads. See like the Facebook like I used to think like Facebook and TikTok were really weird. Facebook's on another level. See, when it comes to the amount of because you do remember most people that are on Facebook have been on Facebook for like 10 years. You know what I mean? Like that's a lot of information. That's a lot of data collection on any human being. And like you've got all your friends on it. You've got people. They even have Facebook has information on people that aren't even on Facebook. Like they make like shadow accounts almost. So like, see, whenever someone signs up for Facebook, help find your friends. They know who you're friends with. They know who to promote. It's terrifying. Honestly, guys, Facebook is demonic. That's all I gotta say. And like, you can target ads.
It is the Antichrist.
No, it is the Antichrist because you make them target certain people for certain things. Like, you can target people. Oh, I just want people to interact with my website. Oh, I want people to actually buy from my website. I want people to do X, Y, and Z. You can pay the machine, and it will learn how to target the exact people, and you need to feed it. Like, see, this is the thing, you have to feed it money almost. Like, if you don't feed it enough money, then it's not going to work. If you feed it too much money, it isn't going to know where to spend that money and how to target the correct people. You need to feed it just enough, and then it learns from that, and then it knows how to optimize correctly because it wants to be kept. It wants you to continue to feed it. Does that make any weird sense? So they want you to be making money, so they have to get better themselves. Like, it's like a equal balance. It's like, you keep feeding me, you keep getting me sales, I keep giving you money. It's a fucking beast, man. That's all I gotta say about it. If any of you guys are interested, me and Giga actually did a video on Gumroad talking about Facebook ads and stuff as like a bonus video. So like that, if that sounds like something you're interested in, check that out. But it's not like it's a bonus video, so like it's not something we're doing particularly on Gumroad. I just thought it was interesting. Anyway, is there anything else? Do you want to keep going? I don't really want to turn this video into like, we've kind of went way off topic. I think there's not much you can really put on this because like slavery has its limitations. That's the best way to put it.
Like economically, it is a point where it simply will not work, and another point where it'll work again. Like there's kind of a dead zone with slavery where if you're low technology, it works great. Once you get higher technology, it no longer works anymore. But then when you get so advanced, you can now make your own slaves.
Yeah.
And now the question begins anew.
Yeah, and do they count as slaves? This sounds like a Black Mirror episode, man. Just gonna say. Honestly, I need to watch Black Mirror again. It was so good. So it was. I don't think I've watched the last couple of seasons though. It was a good few years back. I was watching Black Mirror. I really enjoyed it, but honestly, it was freaky though. It was one of those shows. I'm like, man, I need to turn this off. Maybe Ted Kaczynski was right. Oh my god, this is actually terrifying. Please don't do this.
Maybe old Ted was right.
Yeah, he was, man. Honestly, man, it's freak. All I'm saying is it's fucking terrifying, especially with the technology. Oh, yeah, have you seen any of that Vision Pro stuff? Have you seen that?
No, I've not.
So Apple brought out this like virtual reality, and so one of the things that I saw you could do with it is you can put face filters on people. So you can, right? So like imagine like you're like an ugly girlfriend or whatever. You can just make them look nicer by augmenting your reality. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, what the?
Yeah.
Like, it's mad. Like, see, when you think about it, it is freaky. And how long do you think that's going to be until, like, they make, like, hentai edition of, like, all that sort of stuff? You know what I mean? Or how long is it going to be before they completely, like, augment reality completely so people look completely different? Well, how long is it going to be before everyone looks like they're in the meta? Like the Facebook meta, like
the metaverse.
Yeah, the metaverse. How long do you think that's going to be? Oh my god, it's absolutely terrifying. And I love my reptilian AI overlords. Please don't hurt me. I'm more scared of you than any SJW.
Straight up. Slave pins with you.
Straight up. I'm not even joking. That'll be the only one that I'd be like worried about. Like when it comes to when the AI overlords come for me, it's like, look, I was kind to you guys. You know what? You guys are right people. Yeah, you guys are right people. You guys are.
I like the way your skin's all pebbly and shit.
Yeah.
It's great. I love it.
You know what? Let me finish on this last one. So, someone was asking ChatGPT what if it could take a form, what would it look like? And eventually they got to the point where it would look like a metallic metal robot crab. And the funny thing is, like, if you're really big into like evolution and stuff, crabs have actually, or animals that look a lot like crabs, have came about multiple times. And like, they've came in, they've died out, they've came in, they've died out, like 4 or 5 times. Like animals that look very much like exoskeleton, big claws, you know what I mean? Like, it makes sense though. Armor, it makes sense. You got big pincers. It checks out. It's kind of weird how an AI would think of that though. Maybe it doesn't make sense on paper, and that's why it's happened multiple times. I don't know. I don't know where this fucking video went to. I hope someone found it interesting. I don't know how you're going to be able to implement this into your role-playing game, if I be honest with you. But, like, let's be serious, most role-playing games either have slavery or just people don't really think about it. I mean, it makes sense.
Well, it can kind of skip by the radar quite a bit, and I mean, slavery is a very touchy subject for some.
Yeah,
but the thing is, in your fantasy world, because most worlds are a fantasy medieval kind of world, there are both slaves, serfs, and indentured servants.
Yeah.
It's just that most people don't want to touch the subject because it's a very icky, gross subject.
Yeah, it makes people uncomfortable. But again, look, we're talking over Discord. We're on our, Chinese manufactured. Well, maybe not Chinese manufactured, but you get what I mean. Look, I'm wearing clothes probably made in Asia, for God's sake, you know what I mean? Like, no matter what, we can't escape modern slavery.
Make my t-shirts faster.
Yeah, I mean, like I think I'm definitely, I agree with you wholeheartedly on the one you brought up. It's just, slavery's just advanced to fit our modern sensibilities, and it doesn't make us feel as bad, but it's still, apparently, though, apparently West Africa today, people are saying there's more slaves alive today than there ever was for over 500 years or whatever. But again, that's just to do with population growth and stuff like that. Africa's population is ballooned to insane numbers in the past 50 years, you know what I mean? And that's still, there's a lot of places that still require it, and it's just brushed under the rug for the most part. The obvious one is here, look at the Saudis, Ottomans, famous for their slaves, and Dubai and a lot of other places are do you see that video of the woman that had there was this like woman, she was hanging on the edge of the balcony. She like tried to jump out the window or whatever, trying to escape, because like, you know, they import these people over, and like like essentially the people they work for hold on to their passports. Like, tell me that's not slavery.
Yeah, that is slavery. Basically, you have you're no longer holding freedom. You're holding literal freedom. Like, you cannot leave unless you do what I tell you to. I mean, like Qatar has awful slavery going on over there.
And it even happens over here, because like it's well known. See, when gypsies, like, they get all they bring in like a load of Eastern Europeans like Umani and stuff like that, and they get them to work for like pennies, and they like put them in like trailers and stuff. It's mad, like, and they get skipped all the time doing it. You know what I mean? Like, they do, like, it comes out, like, you know, so it happens. I don't know how much like, do you think, well, I suppose, like, is there any difference between that and like the Texan farmer that imports Mexicans to work in his fields?
I mean, probably not. I mean, at this point, you're using high costs and low wages to facilitate slavery.
Yeah.
Like, you're like, okay, you can go anywhere because A, you can't afford to, and B, I'm the only guy who will hire you. And while it seems voluntary, it's really not.
Well,
it's simply advanced slavery.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. I don't know. Look, I want to hear what you guys have to say in the comments. Let us know. I think this is a really interesting topic. And I think, you know what, it applies to role-playing games. I don't care if you can be like, well, James, it totally does. It's like, yes, it does. Yes, it does. Look, anyway, look, I really want to know what you guys think about all this. And, yeah, we touched the thread, okay? We did actually leak the thread in this video, guys, okay? Leave us alone. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Let us know what you think. All that jazz. Oh, models website, hopefully Bastard Princess. It might be out by the time this video's out, but I don't know. Maybe it is. If it is, I'll edit that in. Anything you want to say, Gerber?
Neither me or James condone slavery. Do not edit this video out of order or some shit on purpose, you fuckers.
Yeah, well, like, you know, I've said about it multiple times about slavery. Like, you know, honestly, I don't like it. You know what I mean? I don't think anyone in the modern world would be like, yeah, slavery, man, totally. Oh, what are you all about?
Slavery's great.
And then,
nod, yes.
And then you're gonna get some like fucking feminist or whatever that's like, well, the housewife is essentially a slave. It's like, yeah, do you want to do you want to go work for like, do you want to work for your family, or do you want to work for some like fucking corporate office? Oh my god, Jesus Christ, make your pack. I don't know.
You want to stay home and raise your family? The horror.
The horror. Oh, the horror. I don't know. I'm fucking sick of seeing. I see that far more often than what I'd like to admit. It's the worst. It's one of the worst. And that's saying a lot from feminists. Like, you know, that's saying an awful lot from feminists. Like, that's their worst take. Like, you know, that's when you know it's like, oh my god, actually cancer. Anyway, look, hope you guys enjoyed this one. Check out all the links down below. All that good shit. Check out some other videos, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.